Looks like we have Warlock chosen, as we were talking about, and right off the bat, Gnimish drops off a Mana Worm. This is incredibly difficult to deal with if you don't have the right answers.
It certainly is. A Voidwalker actually comes down here from Trump, and he's going to be able to buff that next turn with that coin, most likely. And it looks like there's no real great move right here for Gnimish. His turn 2 is kind of weak.
Yeah, usually you would like to pair the Mana Worm with some kind of spell to increase his damage and then just continue to put on pressure, but we'll have to drop the Voidwalker to 2 health, and that's going to give Trump an opportunity to seize back board control.
I like this hand here from Trump, I have to say. It's pretty solid. He can just go ahead, coin out Shattered Sun Cleric. That's always one of the best turn 2s that you can possibly have, is buffing a minion that you played on turn 1. And it's a taunter, so Gnimish, even though he's supposed to be very aggressive here, is sitting back, unable to do much.
That's right, and the best thing about it is he has another Sun Cleric as well, so you can do 2 3-drops in turns 2 and 3 and give yourself a lot of longevity on your minions.
That's so true, and looks like a Cone of Cold comes out that does give a buff, and he gets to take out that minion. So that's a good turn from Gnimish there. Now, what will we see here? You know, at 1 health for that Shattered Sun, I'd like to see the second one come out and buff it.
Yeah, absolutely, and try to keep it alive. And this is kind of what Blizzard was intending when they tried to nerf the Sun Cleric in the first place. Just reduce its ability to try to get onto the board and do a lot of damage. Because 3/3 and then giving it 1/1 is essentially a 4/4, and for 3 mana, that's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Now, this deck, we see he has already got some very expensive cards in his hand. He already has a Rag, he already has an Argent, so his turns might slow down a little bit, whereas we're actually getting right into the mana level that you want to see with Gnimish.
Yep, and he does have some pretty good cards, but again, now he's trying to put pressure back on the board. Ooh, Trump starts his turn off with a life tap because he doesn't have a 4-drop directly, and he gets a Voidwalker, which allows him to draw fire and maybe put some pressure on the board.
All right, well, we have so much explosive stuff in Trump's hand here. Look at this, a couple power overwhelmings.
Yeah.
That can be crazy. That's a lot of damage out of nowhere. For 2 mana, that's 8 damage. So Gnimish is going to have to be very careful about that. Of course, he doesn't know.
No, he doesn't know, but it's really common to see usually 1, because then you can kind of pair it with Shadow Flame, aggressive trades. But to run 2 is not the practice of every Warlock, so Trump definitely has something cool planned with combos in his deck.
Well, let's see what Gnimish wants to do here. He has to start removing some more of these minions and trying to punch through. Now, Harvest Golem is always very good. Like right now, it's even better because of Shattered Sun Cleric getting nerfed down to just 2 health. So playing that wouldn't be too bad. I think the Argus is kind of neat, but I don't really want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see it once he has 2 minions on the board.
And just mentally, you feel like Argus, it's 50% wasted if you don't get 2 minions sometimes, but in other scenarios, it can be the best. Now, we see that the Novice Engineer draws the Shattered Sun Cleric. And he's not going to drop it to try to do anything just yet, but just going to clear the Voidwalker. And this is important because if you leave minions on the board as Warlock, or against a Warlock, they can do things like drop Blood Imps and just things get snowballing way out of control and you get overrun.
Well, it looks like he wants to buff this Dark Iron Dwarf, and that makes a lot of sense. You don't want the Shattered Sun Cleric trading with that, so that's a really good move there. And with 3 minions out, he may be able to go ahead and play his Defender of Argus next turn. Whereas here for Trump, he's still got quite a nice hand, but it's not super good until next turn, when he can actually start playing some more of this.
So he draws a Knife Juggler with the life tap. Knife Juggler is, again, another stylistic choice with aggressive Warlock, because you have a lot of 1-drops. You have 6 imps that you can drop for 1 mana. That gives him a lot of, but it doesn't really do anything in this scenario, in my opinion.
Yeah, like he could go Knife Juggler Blood Imp to try to get a lucky ping off, but I don't know if I really like that. He might want to use a Power Overwhelming to take out this Dark Iron. Right now, I feel like it's a pretty sweet spot for Gnimish.
All right, so he's gonna go for it, and he shoots the Novice Engineer.
Not what he wanted.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the worst choices.
Yeah, and well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and now this makes it a little bit trickier for Trump to deal with. And one thing I do like what he did, though, is he put the Blood Imp between the Knife Juggler and the Sun Cleric, so Cone of Cold can't hit it.
It is a very, very good move. Now, he wants to remove the Knife Juggler if possible. But the thing is, he has so much damage in his hand. He's actually taken a much more aggressive stance now. He might want to save that Fireball. It's kind of a hard choice.
You know, he does have the 2 minions and an Argus, and you can trade both without losing them. Oh, just kidding. I was imagining the old Sun Cleric. So instead, he's going to go for the Cone of Cold and take out the Blood Imp, and dealing with the Blood Imp immediately is always a good choice in my opinion.
Well, I think what he's going to do here now is ping the Shattered Sun, take out the Knife Juggler, and just continue onwards, being very aggressive. And look at this, keeping 2 of his minions alive. Gnimish has taken big board control.
Yeah, and one thing that's been a little hard for Warlocks to do, as much as they're aggressive, they have limited amount of AoE that they can do to their opponents. Not many people run Hellfire, which is a deal 3 damage to all characters.
Yeah.
And not many people run too many Shadow Flames in combination with Power Overwhelming, so those are your options.
Shadow Flame kind of goes against what the deck is trying to do in a lot of ways by sacrificing your own minions that you want to be attacking with, so... Yeah, in fact, I'm looking at his list. He doesn't really have any AoE in here. It's mostly just very powerful minions that are good prices.
And so he's going to drop the Argent Commander and trade immediately with the Dark Iron Dwarf for his shield. But now, again, the ball is back in the court of Gnimish because he has a lot of options at his disposal.
You know what? Okay, he drops the Acolyte. I was actually hoping Harvest Golem and drop the Argus in between them both. But this actually works very well also because either one that this Argent Commander runs into, it dies against.
Yes, and well, the health nerf didn't really matter. And actually, it does, because the Acolyte of Pain, now it's 2/4, can immediately take it out. So that puts a different kind of pressure as well, because that's also going to help his opponent by drawing a card. And now Trump's still in an awkward position. Yeah,
at least he's going to be able to get rid of 2 minions here, so that's good. But you know what? That one's going to draw a card for Gnimish, so that was actually very, very useful. And now it looks like this board most likely is going to trade again.
One thing that's also kind of psychologically impairing for a player who's dropped both of his Argent Commanders, if you know your opponent has dropped none, because then you feel like, oh man, no matter what, I'm just going to lose the trades because the charge presence is so heavy. And look at this, Gnimish is going to bypass the Argent Commander and go directly for the health.
I love the choice. Look at how low his health is getting with only 4 damage on board. It's hard for him to imagine like a kill this turn, 25 health. No, you're not going to get rid of that.
And now all of a sudden Trump, he would love if he had the board control to drop a Ragnaros, but the whole point of this deck was to kind of have the control while being aggressive, and he's achieved neither. And look at that, Gnimish is tossing out the taunts.
Well, right now I'm looking at this hand, Frodan, and I do not like it. This is... I don't know how Trump can possibly take this game from here. There's not much he can do. He can trade this 4/2 for one of these 3 attack minions, but that is still 7 damage coming over next turn.
And also, life tapping is just so dangerous because you put yourself within Pyroblast range as well, even if you somehow tap something to get a big
he can't. The thing is, it's pretty much game, and I think he knows that. He's trying to figure out, is there something he can do? Well, trade with the Fairy, that's not a bad idea. Drop the Rag, I figured that's what he would do. If he gets the 3/3, that's pretty good. And we'll see. And he does.
All right, so
that's the best he could have hoped for sure.
And unfortunately, that won't matter because Gnimish draws a Pyroblast, and that allows him to put out 14 damage, more than enough. As Gnimish will go up 2-0 in the series over Trump. And Team Doggy House looking primed to take the first match in this best-of-5 series.